Yo, what's going on, FG fam, and welcome to a very special video here on this Saturday morning. Now, I have this video ready for you because, of course, we just did the off-season live stream of the Rams and Bengals franchises, and I don't quite have any videos ready for the Bengals franchise to go up today. So instead, let's take a look at a little bit too early mock draft for 2021 in the NFL. With the first overall selection, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars, of course, selecting Trevor Lawrence. Anyone who got this first pick, outside of people with Hall of Fame-bound quarterbacks, are going to select Trevor Lawrence with this pick. It seems to be the most surefire pick since Andrew Luck going number 1 years ago. No doubt, Trevor Lawrence to the Jaguars, I think regardless of who their coach ends up being. Number 2, I have Justin Fields going to the New York Jets. Now, the Jets don't have to go with Justin Fields, but with Sam Darnold coming up on the final year of his contract, it is best to bring in some competition, and if you're bringing in some competition, you might as well do it with another young gun quarterback, and Justin Fields is exactly that. Justin Fields either is going to light a fire under Sam Darnold to have the best career year performance that he possibly can to keep a contract, or he's just going to outplay him and Darnold will be gone next season. At number 3, the Miami Dolphins have the pick from the Houston Texans. Thank you, Texans. And I have my own favorite team selecting Penei Sewell, offensive tackle out of Oregon. A lot of speculation about trading for Deshaun Watson. If that happens, they won't have this pick anymore, more than likely. But we are not going off any crazy trades in this mock draft. So if you're thinking that there will be wild trades or trade-ups, not in this mock draft. Maybe when we have the final draft order, I'll release another one with trades. But Penei Sewell, you need something to help out Tua. You don't need another quarterback in this spot. And Penei Sewell, one of the most surefire tackles since the Dolphins took Jake Long at number 1 back in the day. Number 4, the Falcons sit on the clock. Now, they could go quarterback here, but with all of the money sunk into Matt Ryan, again, I'm not predicting any crazy trade away of Matt Ryan. Instead, I will predict that the Falcons look to beef up that defense a little bit that was so horrible this season, at least in the beginning part, and get themselves a real edge rusher in Gregory Rousseau out of Miami, Florida. The Hurricane is a great pass rusher and can definitely add some much-needed quarterback pressures for this Falcon defense. At number 5, it's the Cincinnati Bengals, and I know most Bengals fans wanted Penei Sewell here, but they'll get the next best thing, which will be wide receiver Jamar Chase out of LSU. Pair him back up with Joe Burrow, his old running mate back in the crazy LSU team that won the national championship a couple of seasons ago. And with Burrow and Chase, should already have some chemistry going, and you continue. Joe Burrow seemed to be a wonderful player. Hopefully he comes back great from his injury, and Jamar Chase can certainly help him put some points on the board in Cincinnati. At number 6, that leaves the Philadelphia Eagles, and according to the way they played this past season, there's a lot of different places they can go, but I believe they'll go with the Heisman winner, Devonta Smith, out of Alabama. He had a wonderful national championship game, and the Eagles have been looking for a weapon like that for years, and I think they take the chance and jump at taking the Heisman winner. At number 7, in comes the Detroit Lions, and all the speculation of do they move on from Stafford, do they try to get a quarterback here, and I think it's very possible, but I feel like they're going to try to get Stafford a weapon that they're going to lose when Marvin Jones hits free agency. Their wide receiver room is going to be a little bit of a mess if Kenny Golladay hits free agency. And I'm going to think that they will go with Jalen Waddle, the next best thing to Devonta Smith out of Alabama. And Jalen Waddle, another really good wide receiver, was probably ahead of Devonta Smith coming into this season, but Devonta Smith just had a wild year, and that put him above. But Waddle, still a very, very good target for Matt Stafford for however long he ends up playing the rest of his career. At number 8, that leaves the Carolina Panthers, and I think quarterback play was mediocre at best for the Panthers. They did sink some money into Teddy Bridgewater, and they could still keep him around for the couple of years they have him signed for still. But I believe that they'll jump at the chance to go with Zach Wilson out of BYU, surefire the third best quarterback in this draft to most people. And most people would think he would go ahead of this pick, and he will if the pick gets traded. We'll see what ends up happening in future mock drafts, but Zach Wilson is a player that Matt Rule can build around in that offense. They've already got enough receivers if they can keep Curtis Samuel on the team to go with DJ Moore for the next few years. Bringing in Zach Wilson could make the Panthers offense very formidable with Christian McCaffrey as well. At number 9, in comes the Denver Broncos with a selection here, and losing Von Miller is definitely a possibility and very tough, and I think they'll jump at a chance to replace him here with this 9th overall pick by getting Kwity Paye out of Michigan. I think he's a very good pass rusher. I think he will put a lot of pressure on the quarterback in Denver. The defense needs to get a little bit younger. Obviously, they could be another team maybe that looks at quarterback if they don't believe in Drew Lock, but what I've seen from Drew Lock, he looks pretty good to me. I wouldn't want to be getting rid of him right now. They could look to get a surefire running back on that team as well. I know Melvin Gordon was a signing that they made, but maybe get a little younger there. There's a lot of different spots the Broncos could go. They weren't a crazy good team last year, but they're not horrible, and I think they really are going to have to replace a legend here with this pick. At number 10, it is the Dallas Cowboys, and they're going to be elated to be able to help out that secondary with this pick by getting Patrick Surtain II out of Alabama. Now, those who know me know I'm a Dolphins fan, big Patrick Surtain Sr. fan, who was a corner for the Dolphins, and to have Pat Surtain II go to the Cowboys, that just hurts me. That's one of my least favorite teams in the league. But Pat Surtain will be amazing for them and will be exactly what the doctor ordered in that horrid secondary for Dallas. The New York Giants come up. I've seen this pick mocked a couple of places. I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but I'm going to go ahead and believe in this one and have them taking Kyle Pitts, the tight end out of Florida, the only first-round graded tight end this year, and a very good one. He had an amazing season with Kyle Trask at the helm. He's had a good career at Florida, and honestly, Evan Ingram just ain't it, Chief. Like, for the Giants, he dropped a pass that would have, as it turns out, hindsight's 2020, but it would have put the Giants in the postseason over the Washington football team. And I don't think Evan Ingram is going to be around for another contract, and he shouldn't be. Kyle Pitts will give Daniel Jones a much-needed target at that tight end position. At number 12, it's the San Francisco 49ers, and I think that they're going to beef up their offensive line here. No matter who is at quarterback, they need to get better at blocking for their passer, and I think Rashawn Slater out of Northwestern is a great tackle to do the job. He is going to be a monster on the offensive line. He has such great potential, and the 49ers really could use some help there, regardless of who the quarterback is. Honestly, CJ Beathard and Nick Mullins both played pretty well at times. Garoppolo obviously has played well at times. None of them the most consistent quarterback in the quarterback room, but they got three guys who can actually play a little bit. I don't think that's what they're worried about. I think they need to protect those guys because they're always getting hurt and getting battered. At 13, it's the Los Angeles Chargers, and that is another team. They see their franchise in Justin Herbert, and rightfully so, potential Rookie of the Year winner, even though I think Justin Jefferson should be, but that's neither here nor there. Christian Darrisaw, the offensive tackle out of Virginia Tech, is going to help them do that. They need him to protect Justin Herbert, and I think he is just the right man for the job. So That'll be the pick for the Chargers. But at number 14, the Minnesota Vikings come up, and they would have liked Rousseau to fall to him, but I don't think there's any way that happens. But they'll take the second best D lineman, Jalen Phillips, out of also the Miami Hurricanes. They'll go with Jalen Phillips here. I think he'll fit the scheme just fine for the defense that Minnesota is running there, and I think that he would be a very good fit on that defensive front. The Vikings need to play a little bit more defense than they played this season, and they need to retool that defensive line. At New England, number 15, we have Trey Lance, quarterback out of North Dakota State. Obviously, Bill Belichick's going to be very happy to have Trey Lance fall down to him and be able to select one of the top 4 quarterbacks in this draft. Now, the only reason I have Trey Lance is because he is pretty much right now the consensus number 4 quarterback, but has Mac Jones jumped him? Maybe. Does Belichick go for Mac Jones from his friend Nick Saban? Or does he take Trey Lance here, which is a quarterback everyone is coveting? That I don't know, but I have it being Trey Lance for now until I hear some more rumblings. Either way, Bill Belichick could have his franchise quarterback this season, and that shit is scary. With the 16th pick in the draft, I have the Arizona Cardinals going for offensive line to protect Kyler Murray for the next however many seasons, with offensive lineman Elijah Vera Tucker out of USC. I think he could be the big-bodied guy in the offensive line that they need. He is pretty athletic as well, and he will definitely help out his athletic quarterback in Kyler Murray to stay upright, which the Arizona Cardinals are desperately going to need if they want to get to that next level after kind of squandering away a playoff appearance this past season. Number 17, we have the Vegas Raiders, and Las Vegas is very happy to see one of the best defensive players in this draft fall to them. They need to play more defense. Their offense is very high-flying, but Micah Parsons, the linebacker out of Penn State, very athletic player. He fits the Raiders style really well. They love athletic defenders, and Micah Parsons will be that guy at the second level. They've spent a lot of time on the secondary with Arnett, with Abram in the last couple of years. They've spent some time on the defensive front as well with Cleveland Farrell, Max Crosby, things of that nature, but they need to go into the linebacking core, and I think Micah Parsons is perfect here. That leaves Miami at 18 with the pick that they actually own. And while there are a lot of places Miami could actually go here, they could look for a receiver. We need receiving threats. They could go Najee Harris at 18. That is definitely a possibility, but I think that's still a little too early for a running back, and I think that Miami could get a running back in the second round that could do some things for them as well. And I think I have them going Zaven Collins, the linebacker out of Tulsa. We could definitely use some linebacking help. We need to address that position on defense. That was the weakest part. I would like to get a bookend to Agba, but maybe we can take care of that in free agency or maybe even later in the draft. Who knows? But I have them going Zaven Collins to beef up that linebacking core out of Tulsa. Number 19, the Washington football team comes up, and I don't think that they believe they have their franchise quarterback on roster, if I'm being completely honest. Taylor Heineke played really, really well, and that's great, but I think that Washington invests in Mac Jones out of Alabama here at this spot. Mac Jones had a very nice national championship game. He looked really good in that game. Yes, does he have two of the best weapons in Waddle and Devonta Smith there? Yeah, he does, and that's a lot of the knock on Alabama quarterbacks, but it does not stop them from going in these draft classes, so I really feel that Washington will take the flyer here. For Chicago at number 20, I have them going Alex Leatherwood, tackle out of Alabama. That is something they definitely need to work on. They need blocking in all levels, both rush and pass blocking, and Alex Leatherwood, good potential coming out of Alabama, a good pedigree, something that the Bears could definitely use here. Number 21 is the Colts, and I thought about maybe DB here, but another weapon would definitely help out whoever plays quarterback next season for the Indianapolis Colts, whether it's still Phillip Rivers or they go elsewhere. And Rashad Bateman was very consistent for the Minnesota Golden Gophers, and I think that that would be a really good pick for the Indianapolis Colts. Yes, they have Pittman. Pairing Pittman with Bateman and maybe T.Y. Hilton in the final couple of years of his lifespan in the NFL, that could really give you three formidable options along with Jack Doyle and Jonathan Taylor, and that Colts offense could really be flying with the right guy under center. Next, you have the Tennessee Titans at number 22, and I have them going defensive back, something they definitely need. Corner Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech. I'd be a little surprised if Caleb Farley fell this far, but right now I'm seeing it happening, and Caleb Farley would be a really, really nice player in the defensive backfield for Tennessee. That is a backfield that had some trouble this year with Texans offense, with the Ravens offense, even in the postseason, and you really need to shore up where you see holes, and that's definitely a hole back there. I think even Kevin Byard was playing a little off in certain games this year for the Tennessee Titans, but just adding another DB could definitely help them. Next at 23, you have the New York Jets, and they have the pick from the Seattle Seahawks. And we're going to go with Terrence Marshall Jr., the wide receiver out of LSU. The Jets need a weapon, and they have to get their new quarterback, Justin Fields, or their old quarterback, Sam Darnold, albeit doesn't matter who it is. They need to get them some kind of weapon. Now, Mims, he's a little bit of a weapon, but he was injured most of the year this year. Now, pairing Mims with Terrence Marshall Jr., and there could be a lot of damage done with the Jet offense. They also kind of need a bell cow running back, someone who can take the ball most of the time, and of course they need a ton on defense, but for now, let's work on at least scoring some points. Then for Pittsburgh at number 24, the last of the picks that are official, and I have Pittsburgh going with running back Najee Harris out of Alabama. If Ben Roethlisberger by some miracle stays another season, and I don't think it's going to happen because Pouncey is already retired, and those two are so tied together that I think Ben will go with him. But if he does not, and he stays, Najee Harris will be very important for that Steeler offense. Ben needs somebody who can carry the ball. James Conner just didn't get it done. Benny Snell is not an every down running back. And Najee Harris is a guy who can take the ball at least 2 of the 3 downs, maybe all 3 downs if he had to. And Najee Harris can just bowl you over. Very good Alabama running back. He played pretty well in the national championship game as well, busted off a couple of good runs. And if he does that in the Pittsburgh offense, they can fly it all over the field in their passing game as well, if they just have somebody to take some pressure off in the run game. Number 25 is the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the pick they got in the Jalen Ramsey trade from the Rams. And I have them protecting their new star quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, by taking Samuel Cosmi, the offensive tackle out of Hook 'em Horns, Texas. As Cosmi, definitely a projected first-round pick. Tackles always go, and if you want to get one, you got to get one early, and I think the Jaguars would be smart enough to take Lawrence and Cosmi together, get those two guys to grow together, a tackle and his quarterback from the very start. Number 26, we have the Cleveland Browns, and that would be their pick to go with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah out of Notre Dame. A very good linebacker who can make some plays in the middle, do some run stuffing. They're going to need stuff like that. The Browns' defense was their faltering point all season. Even in the wild card matchup, the Browns should have won that game 49-10 the way Pittsburgh was playing it, but they let up in the second half. They let Ben Roethlisberger get hot and throw for 500 yards. You cannot let a quarterback throw for 500 yards in every playoff game and win. And they're going to need some linebacking help, some defensive help in general. I think they could go safety as well. They could probably go DB as well, like corner. But I'm going to go with linebacker here. I think that's probably their weakest point. And that'll bring us to 27 with the Buccaneers. I have them going Christian Barmore out of Alabama, the defensive lineman there. This is a defensive front that needs to get even stronger. They have spent some time on the defensive front with Vita Vea and such, but they're going to need a little bit more in Tampa Bay, and I feel like Barmore will definitely be something that could help them out for sure. I could see some other front defenders going in this pick to them, as well as pretty much anything on defense. I think their offense will be fine, especially if Tom Brady stays, and I feel like he will. At 28, we have the Baltimore Ravens, and I think they're going to go offensive line at some point here. Their offensive line, they're scheduled to probably lose some pieces and even get a little bit older, and I think Wyatt Davis would be a really nice pick out of Ohio State for them here. One of Ohio State's absolutely premier linemen in the last couple of seasons, and I think Wyatt Davis would be smart for the Ravens to go with here. Number 29, it's the New Orleans Saints, and I think this is maybe more of a wish pick, but also something that could help out the New Orleans Saints. And that's wide receiver out of Purdue, Rondale Moore. Now, a lot has been said about where Rondale Moore may fall, but I think his talent level is too much for the New Orleans Saints to ignore to get somebody to pair opposite with Michael Thomas, alleviate some pressure off of him, and really help out Deontay Harris and other receivers on that team to really get open as well. As Michael Thomas, Rondale Moore would be a big threat in that offense, no matter who is the quarterback next year, even if Drew Brees does hang up the cleats. Next at pick 30 would be the Buffalo Bills, and I think they're going to help out that defense that faltered a little bit at certain times in the season. Their offense was very good, and I think they'll take a back at some point in this draft, more than likely, but it won't be now. Instead, they will take Nick Bolton, the linebacker out of Missouri. That is definitely a guy that can help beef up the defense just a little bit, inject a little more youth into it, get it back to maybe where it was last season, where it was a very, very good defense. This year, not so much. A decent enough defense to get them to where they've been, which is really, really good, but the offense really took a step forward this year with Stephon Diggs. And I think the defense is going to need an injection of talent, just like the offense got with Diggs. Number 31 would be the Green Bay Packers. And do they finally do it? I mean, I have them doing it, but do they finally get a wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers? Kadarius Toney out of Florida would be that pick. They could go with Chris Olave. They could go with a number of other receivers. This receiver class, much like last year's class, is pretty loaded. A lot of receivers coming out of college that are really, really good and powerful and just so explosive. Kadarius Toney could be really good for Aaron Rodgers in the short passing game and help him for yards after the catch. Rodgers is looking for somebody. He has been looking for somebody all season opposite Devontae Adams, and really he's found, for the most part, Robert Tonyan at tight end. It'd be nice to get him somebody on the other opposite end of Devontae. And then finally at pick number 32, the Kansas City Chiefs. They could look a number of ways here. I know that defensive back is probably going to be what they might go with at corner, and there's a number of corners they could go with. Shaun Wade out of Ohio State, Rodarius Williams out of Oklahoma State, but I have them going J.C. Horn out of South Carolina. Don't know how this kid wouldn't have gone earlier in the first round, but somehow I have him falling here right into the Chiefs' lap at 32, and they would be excited and elated to be able to get him. So J.C. Horn to the Chiefs. Now, this is the part of the video where I ask you guys, what do you guys think is going to happen? What picks do you agree with, disagree with? Respectfully in the comments, of course. This is just a mock draft. It is too early. The picks aren't even finalized, and there's a lot of trades and stuff that probably are going to happen this year that I haven't mocked. So for future mock drafts and other content on the channel, if you enjoy any sports gaming, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel for the love of franchise content. That is pretty much all we do here, except for these little mock drafts. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, share the video, talk about the mock draft on Twitter, anywhere you possibly can. I appreciate you guys, and until next time, stay cool, cats.
Feel to break some head.